Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Damien from Chess Optics, and happy holidays. First of all, I hope everybody had fun festivities and enjoyed time with your loved ones. What I'm here today to present to you though is a game between Gary Kasparov and Lejos Portish. This is from the NYSEC tournament in 1983, and it's just a specific part of this game that I want to focus on in terms of a chess idea. And the idea is the ability to recognize a position's nature and know when it's time to sacrifice. And this is what we see in this game with Gary Kasparov playing Lejos Portish. So Gary Kasparov has the white pieces, and the game starts off with the move d4. Mr. Portish plays knight to f6. Gary Kasparov responds with c4. We have e6 from black. Knight to f3 from white. b6. This is a Queen's Indian defense for those of you who know opening theory. Kasparov plays knight to c3. We have bishop to b7. And a3. This is of course a move designed to stop the pin from the bishop on f8 coming to b4, but there's a little bit more explanation behind a3. I'm not going to get into that right now. There's a position that I'm interested in actually exploring, which we're on our way to. So for those of you who want to look at theory, you can check that out about a3. Black plays d5, and white captures d5. And white, presume doesn't want to recapture with the pawn, so he captures back with the knight. White plays e3, and black captures the knight on c3. Pawn captures c3. Bishop to e7. White plays bishop to b5, and that's check. Black blocks the check with pawn to c6. White bishop moves back to d3. And here we have black playing the move c5, trying to open up the queenside bishop on b7, looking for counterplay against white's kingside potentially. White is not too worried, so he castles. Knight to c6. Bishop to b2. Here we have the bishop putting itself in a position that aims at the black kingside, anticipating black will also castle in that direction. This bishop eventually plays a major role in the decisive outcome of this game, as you will see further into the moves. Black plays rook to c8. We have queen to e2 from white. And as anticipated, black does castle kingside. We have rook a to d1 from white, queen to c7 from black, pawn to c4 from white. And of course, black doesn't allow the d5 push just so simply, so he captures back on d4, and white captures. Black moves his knight to a5. Now, this is also another part of the game that stands out. This move basically takes a knight and puts it on the edge of the board to avoid a push, but also to add some potential pressure against the c4 pawn. Now you notice there's 3 attackers on c4. But white continues with d5, opening up the bishop that we saw earlier go to b2 on the long diagonal. towards the black king side. Pawn captures. C takes d5. C takes d5. And bishop takes d5. Now, this is the position that I wanted to pay attention to. This video is really dedicated to this position. It's Gary Kasparov sacrificing his 2 bishops against the black king side. As you first look at the position, I don't know what you may be thinking, but I'm just looking at it and I'm seeing that material is even, but there is a difference in the 2 positions. One distinct difference here is that if you look at the knight on a5, its force is away from the defense of the king. So you have more pieces aiming at the king than you actually have defending the king. You have the knight with the ability to potentially maybe go to g5 or e5 at some time. You have the bishop on d3, the bishop on d2, and the queen, which is not difficult to get to the king's side. Once the knight moves out of the way, she can potentially use and go to the g4 square. So as you look at the black side, the key thing with this knight is that it cannot assist in defending. So say if the knight was on d7 and the rook was here, maybe the knight could go to f8 and add a little bit more defense to h7. However, that's not the case. And, you know, in Mr. Kasparov's own words, you know, he says to him, you know, he says here that, you know, at this point he thought for a long time himself, right? And that he realized that white's pieces are ideally placed, but nothing concrete is immediately apparent. And I mean, it's not. Truthfully, I mean, it's just not obvious to the naked eye what's so amazing about what's, you know, the weaknesses in the black position. But, however, as the game goes on, he begins to realize that the pieces were basically in a position to strike, and this is what he did in his next move. So we have bishop takes h7 check, right? The king captures back. This is the beginning of exposing the king to an attack that he will not recover from. And this is what's so amazing about this, is that it comes from a position which is even in the sense of material, but the dynamic nature of the position, meaning the potential for a tactical blow, has to be seen in terms of calculation and also pattern recognition. So looking at this position here, we see that Kasparov is very well aware of what is going on. So the rook takes d5, the bishop. So this restores material equality, but what else it does that enhances the white position is it brings another attacker into the game. The rook on d5 is now poised in the center of the board. If necessary, it can swing to the h file, g file possibly, or anywhere in the king's section. And we have here, obviously the king is getting away from the h file and moving back to g8, pretty much validating some of the things that I was just saying. Again, we have the bishop sacrifice on g7 this time. Now, this is the beginning of the exposure of the black king. The king captures back, of course. I mean, what else do you do? The knight, as I mentioned, comes to e5. Now, if you start to pay attention to the board, you look at, whoa, wait a minute, right? White sacrificed 2 pieces, but look at what he has for it. He has a knight centralized, a rook centralized, a queen ready to come into the game at any point. These centralized pieces are very effective in attacking the black king, as you'll see as the game goes along. So the rook comes over, trying to exchange one of the attackers. which is pretty normal when you're under attack. You try to exchange the attackers. The queen comes to g4, check. Remember when I talked about if the knight gets out of the way, how the queen could come into the g5? All of this is made possible by those two bishop sacrifices that open the h and the g file. Now the king is exposed. That's what makes this game so beautiful. The thing is here that you really don't have to have a number advantage, so to say, to actually mean that you're winning. So numbers in chess really convey no advantage. It's the energy in your pieces. And we see here great, tremendous energy in the white pieces. So the king moves out of check to f8. Queen goes to f5. We already have a mate threat here. Look how beautiful these pieces are lined up. Who would ever think after sacrificing two bishops, you could get a queen on f5, a knight on e5, and a rook on d5, all sitting right in front of the black king. This could not be good for black. There is no way that this could be good. Pawn push to f6, and here we have another check. Knight to d7, delivering check. Rook takes, rook captures. Queen tries to exchange again. The queen is trying to exchange this queen because this is an aggressive piece. So black is in a state of pure defense here. Queen goes to h7. The rook, again, trying to exchange another piece, right? And then there's check. King steps out. Rook comes back. Knight to c4. The other rook comes over. Lining these pieces up, getting them ready to deploy for the final blow. Queen to h7, check. Black moves out, king to e6. Queen check. King goes to f5. Look at this. Pawn to g4. Look, just take a second and look at the king, man. Look at the black king, and not only that, just look at what white is doing this with. The amount of pieces that he has, a queen and two rooks versus black's queen, rook, bishop, knight. It seems like black has more material, but at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, the key piece in the game is the king, man, not the material. This is why when he sacrificed the material and exposed the king, it really doesn't matter what you have. If you can't defend your king, your material doesn't mean anything. And here we see the black king in check, and this king is doomed, man. This is just doomed here. And king goes to f4. Rook d4 check. King goes to f3. Here we go again. Another check to the king. And at this time, white wins the game and black resigns. Of course, I didn't put a ton of analysis into this game. I'm not a GM or IM, but I thought that you should have the opportunity to see it. I mean, if you want to look at it on your own time, it's clear enough for you to see that, you know, this is a very good game to study. But I presented the game because I wanted to convey in words, not so much analysis, that when you look at a position and you can see a clear element of force, count in your favor, don't be afraid to sacrifice material to play dynamically and win. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chess Optics, and I hope your chess will be the best. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment and some suggestions below. Have a nice day.